What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Podcast, the only podcast where we talk about video games and nothing else. We never go on sidetracks or anything like that. Never on this show.
Not us.
Never at all. But hey, I'm Adam, aka CS Radical, joined as always, Chris, aka Jen and Chris, and Kaylan. What is this, 3 episodes in a row?
Getting there.
That's
The
insane.
little one's starting to have routine.
Is this like the Joe DiMaggio streak of Kaylan podcasting starting here?
I don't know what sports are, so yes.
I don't know what sports are. Just
Is this the Undertaker streak of Kaylan podcasting?
I don't know wrestling. Yes.
I'm out of ideas. I'm done. But Kaylan here with us.
You know what I do know? Video games.
Well, that's debatable sometimes based on how people react to my opinion. So, hey, that's neither here nor there. Speaking of video games, hey, on this show, we got a big-ass topic to talk about. Bloomberg put an article that basically said, hey, people are okay with waiting for $80 games. Because, you know, those price hikes have been coming recently, and we're all going, I don't need to pay for a full-price game. And that actually comes in term with another topic that Kaylan was bringing up that we are going to talk about, which is how, you know, games like Mafia: The Old Country are kind of leading us in a direction that maybe we should be going towards shorter games, or at least, you know, more condensed experiences, so you're not spending so much goddamn time doing random shit. But hey, we got more important things to worry about, like what we've been doing recently. So hey, he's made it 3 weeks in a row now. I have to give him the floor to start with. Now, Kaylan hasn't been playing anything.
You know what? I just first got to commend, like, the energy that Adam is bringing this week is just like, it's palatable. I love it. So
look, it's been a couple of days since the Leafs playoff game. I've got enough energy back after all was siphoned away from me, so it's fine.
Yeah. So in terms of gaming, it's been pretty sparse this week. You know, data too, like it's hit or miss. But with me finishing Avowed, I was debating whether I should play Blueprints, whether I should play Expedition 33, or whether I should play Assassin's Creed Shadows.
I'm willing to bet he went Assassin's Creed, knowing you.
I did go Assassin's Creed.
I knew he went Assassin's Creed because he's on my friends list, and I saw him playing Assassin's Creed.
Adam, are we not? You're on my friends list. You didn't look?
Yeah, I just don't look.
He hasn't been online, I think, even for a bit. I'm not stalking either of you, I swear.
No, it's all good. Yeah, so I started playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, and like, I'm going to start by saying, like, I am loving the game. It is absolutely gorgeous, like one of the best environments I've ever seen. I don't know if I'm just dumb. I don't know if I'm just tired. I don't know if it's the game, but like, it's a weird on-ramp for that game. Because like, Chris, you were saying that you finished this game. Like, it has a weird on-ramp. Like, at no point yet has it ever been like, hey, climb to the top of these towers to figure out how to use like Eagle Vision. Like, the map has really changed in terms of how it works. It's not go to the top of the tower and all the locations are marked. But maybe it kind of is. Like, I don't feel like it's explaining the mechanisms in Assassin's Creed as it usually does.
No, it's absolutely not.
And like the other thing, like there's enough changes that it like kind of feels like it's warranted. The other thing I find with Assassin's Creed Shadows that's weird is that it kind of like timeline wise, like it starts out almost like a couple years ahead, and you have like a lot of powers and abilities. And then it goes back in time, and then it's like, I don't know what abilities I have, like the grapple hook. I don't know, like, can I use like shurikens and stuff? It kind of like, it doesn't on-ramp well. And I don't know if that was just my experience, Chris, or if you felt like the on-ramp to the game was not good.
When you're talking about going back in time, you're talking about when you go to one of those like meditation spots.
No,
so like the literal beginning of the game where you start out as.
So
yes.
I'm gonna spoil it for the first 5 minutes of the game. Like, this is not huge spoilers, like you can get this in the first 10 minutes, but you start out playing as Yasuke. I believe that's how you pronounce the name. I've only played it for a bit.
Yasuke, something like that.
Yasuke, whatever. You play as him for a bit. You go and like attack this village, and it turns out it's what's her name? Navi? It's not Navi.
Nawe.
Nawe's village. You go and attack her village, and like you fight as her to kind of fight off the invaders, and then like it seems like you go back in time a little bit, like 4 years prior, and like kind of see how she gets her training and stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so now, like, I don't know, like, have I gone back to like current time, and I don't seem to have all of the skills, or I don't know what skills I still have, which ones I don't. It's just weird. It's like a weird on-ramp for the game.
Yeah, the beginning was a little bit like that. It kind of had like what the Witcher TV show did, where it's like you're seeing stuff current time, and then it'll show you a bit of other story after, and it's like from the past. And it actually does do that for a bit. There's these collectibles on the map. They're called like Kujikiri or something like that, but it's basically like a meditation stone. The first 4 of those you go to in the meditation state that Nawe is in, it actually furthers the past story. So you actually have to go to those collectibles because they're not mandatory. I think only one is to actually fully understand the past and what happened, to understand why you have what you have now. And it is a little confusing for sure, because it's like, obviously when it's in the past, you don't have the skills that you currently have and stuff. And it's like, wait, hang on. What am I doing here?
Yeah, and it's like, is this meant to be a tutorial? Is this like not a tutorial? It's a weird onboarding. This is not a detraction from the game, but it's just like a moment for me. I'm like, am I dumb? Like, am I like losing it? Like, it feels at one hand, it's like you're supposed to know this stuff, but at the same time, like they don't, like that doesn't seem right kind of thing. It's weird, but I'm loving it. Like, absolutely loving it. I thought I was going to be more in line to playing as like a samurai, but I am really like playing as a ninja. And I feel like that is the more appropriate way to play this game. Like, I don't know if that's, I don't know. For me, it feels like you're meant to
I would
play it as,
imagine
like,
that's the smarter way to do it anyway. And then Yasuke is more the power guy when eventually you do get back to taking over him.
Yeah, for sure. But I feel like when I'm playing this game, like I feel like I want to play the whole game as a shinobi ninja. Like I feel like that's what I want to do. I don't know if I want to play as a brute force samurai through this. But
I mean,
we'll see,
God forbid, in an assassin game that you want to be an assassin. If you want to be a samurai, I guess that's what Ghost of Yote is going to be.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the reason why I decided to go with Assassin's Creed Shadows, because I know the speed at which I play games that I have time to finish this, cleanse my palate before Ghost of Yote comes out. But I was like, if I play Expedition 33 or Blueprints or whatever, I won't get to by the time I get to this, it'll be just on the heels of Ghost of Yote, and it'll be too close.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good idea. Yeah.
So that's what I've been playing. Assassin's Creed Shadows, really liking it, but I am it is like a low bar for me to like an Assassin's Creed game.
That's true. Same
it
with
is.
me.
I'll acknowledge it. Like, we all have our vices, we all have our guilty pleasures, and for me, it's Assassin's Creed.
Look, I mean you gotta like what you like. I mean, it's a shame because I wish I could like it the same way you guys do, but my God, after 4 hours of that game, I'm just like, no, I could do anything else.
I want to talk about the like psychosis that Chris has in terms of platinum Assassin's Creed Shadows. I saw you in the Discord, you're like, I platinum Assassin's Creed Shadows. How the hell did you platinum Assassin's Creed game? Like, those things take a long time to platinum.
Actually, this one wasn't too bad, and that's why I ended up doing it, because I told myself, like, all right, I did this with Valhalla. It took me like 130 hours. I'm not platinuming this. That's ridiculous.
Speaks more than platinum Valhalla. I had like barely finished that game.
Yeah, no, I platinumed it. I did the entire thing. Now, Mirage, I got the platinum as well, but that took like 30 something hours. Like, it was very small, and I was like, I hope that's what they are going forward. I might as well just talk about what I've been playing, which was, Assassin's Creed Shadows as well. But yeah, I beat it, got the platinum, and it actually took 53 hours in game to get it. So it actually isn't as much as you think it is to platinum the game. That it does require some side missions, but the side missions are just like, oh, there's the fallen soldiers and there's 6 of them and they're on the map and you have to murder them. Now, if you do it the way the game is designed, like originally, where you use scouts and you have to like find them using the hints, that would probably take forever. But I put guided mode on, which is like old school Assassin's Creed, where it's like, here they are on the world map. Like, this is just where they are. Like, skip the scout searching and all that kind of stuff. Because I found the game just went obviously a lot faster when I got rid of like the scouts. Because I ran into one where I only had, I think, the initial 3 scouts in the game. And you obviously set them somewhere on the map and it'll reveal that part of the map. But if, you're using hints of like where your next objective is, or you're a person you're trying to kill, and if you use up your 3 scouts, you got to wait until the next day. So you've got to actually like roll it over to the next day by like finding, I don't actually know how to roll into the next day. I know you can like force the seasons to change, but I don't think you can forcefully change the time of day. So it's making the game take like unnecessary amount of time. I understood it was more about the immersion. Like you send out a scout. Okay, yeah, no, we think we found him. This is where he is on the map, and then you go. But yeah, I'm like, no, screw that. Like I just want to be told like where's my target, and then I'll figure it out from there, kind of idea. So I was doing a lot of the side stuff because it's like, oh, there's these 5 guys, and if I kill them, I level up and get a lot of points to also level up even further. Yeah, I'll go kill those 5 guys. So by the time it got to the end of the game, there was like 7 trophies I would need to get, and some of them were just like those stupid trophies. As Yasuke, he has a kick. Yeah, like that kind of stuff. Exactly. So one of them was like, how it's like this is Sparta from 300. It was this is Japan, actually, and as Yasuke, you just kick a guy off a cliff. So I'm like, cool. And I just used a trophy guide for those like stupid things. It's like if you go to this fast travel spot, there's literally 2 guys right below you, drop down, kick one of them and you'll get it. And I did it and it was fucking hilarious, and I kicked the other guy off too because it was like really funny to do, because you see them fall, like the graphics, the game's able to like actually keep with the characters as they fall off this mountain until you see them just hit the ground, right. And then like small amounts of blood comes out and I'm like, oh man, I actually like Jones really killed that dude. Oh, Indiana Jones did that fantastically. But yeah, like platinum the game really isn't that bad. Like there was only one thing that was difficult to figure out, and I did have to look it up online, was maxing out your rations in the game, like your healing items. Because there's like 3 things you need to do. And it's like unlock this building in your homestead kind of idea, and go and complete this one side quest about food. And it's like a bunch of like small stuff like that. That I wouldn't have known. But the good thing is you didn't have to do any of those stupid, for the most part, those dumb like side quests. You didn't have to do all of them. There's only a few you had to do, and the rest that you had to do were like assassinate people, which I was already doing anyways. So, but the game itself, Kaylan, I promise, like the whole confusion with the timeline and everything completely gets fixed and goes away once you've like meditated at 4 of those spots. It gets so good. Honestly, I found that the game really, really turned up. I won't give any spoilers or anything like that, but there are acts to the game where they're kind of like big story moments that go into the next one, and something huge will happen. And I think it's in 3 acts the game is in. After that first act, that's when things really like start to like get good. Like to me, that's when the game really, really kicked off. And I agree. I played the game like 95% as Naue. That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be an assassin. Like I liked it where there was a castle and there's like 3 samurai that I have to take out. And it's like, hey, cool. I'm going to go there. I'm going to be Naue. I'm going to hide. I'm going to assassinate from the shadows. I'm going to do all of that and just like basically take out this entire castle of people without being seen. And it was really, really fun. Whereas Yasuke, you can do it, but you like literally just barge in and you just fight like a tank and like keep parrying and killing and killing and killing and killing. And it is fun, but like it's an Assassin's Creed game.
The flavor, right? Like you're an Indian, like feudal Japan is awesome.
Yeah. One thing I will say about this game that I did really appreciate is that it actually was related to the assassins and stuff again. It actually was an Assassin's Creed game. My biggest thing with Valhalla was like, you're a Viking that has an assassin living in your village. Like that was the connection. And then you just went and did other stuff. You ended up being like slightly connected story-wise and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, this is just like, oh, this is a guy that was next to the assassins and ended up getting kind of involved. And yeah, like he's kind of part of the story. And it was just kind of thrown in. Obviously, Odyssey did the same thing. And it felt like Assassin's Creed was going that way for some reason, where it's like you're not even an assassin. You're just a guy that ends up with the assassin blade or whatever it is. Yeah. This one was nice because, and again, no spoilers in story, but like obviously the assassins are in it and you're involved. You get involved in all that kind of stuff. Like it feels like an Assassin's game and the lore starts coming in and other stuff, right?
The thing I really like so far about it is that there's been, and I'm early in, but there's not a lot of that like modern day BS, which is like to me the worst part of Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yes. There is an extreme small amount. And honestly, without giving it away, the stuff that does connect, because at the very beginning of the game, I think it's like kind of like, oh, the Animus, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The stuff you see in the Animus has nothing to do with modern day, the entire game. Perfect. It does reveal stuff to you, but it's, how do I say this? It's not stuff about now, which is nice. Like it just helps they use the animus this time to actually further explain the story and other stuff that you wouldn't have known, and probably like the characters didn't know, like Noway and stuff, but you, the person in the animus, you kind of get the rest of the story filled out for you, and it's really cool the way they did that. It's not much, it's still very minimal, but at least it had nothing to do with like, okay, now you're in Abstergo, which is just obviously Ubisoft headquarters, and go and like look around and get that data disk, and it's like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any of that, which is fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, the game is actually really good. Don't get me wrong, I think it's like somewhere between a 7 and an 8 out of 10, probably a 7.5, I would say.
And that's exactly where Assassin's
Yeah, I
Creed
was
always
gonna say
sits.
when it's
Oh,
your
yeah.
comfort food, you're happy with a 7 or an 8.
It's up to it's
Oh, yeah.
just like with same thing with Call of Duty, where it's like, yeah, it's gonna be a consistent 7 or 8. It's not gonna be mind blowing. It's not gonna be revolutionary, but it's also gonna be consistently good.
Yes. And as far as Assassin's Creed game goes, this is definitely one of the ones it's the best one in a really long time. I mean, Mirage is in there too because it's like that old school feel. But for the like more full modern Assassin's Creeds, I truly would give this one as like the best since like back when like Syndicate and Unity and stuff like that were coming out. It does feel more like that, minus of course the actual traversal. There is still like some stuff where I'm like, there's so much fucking forest right here, like I don't want to run through it.
Oh, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'm just running through trees and just
and
eventually the forest has to
running
end.
through trees, which amounts to, oh, I can't go through here. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to go all the way around this one.
No, it lets you.
Well, eventually,
run-
yeah.
like-
If, you can finagle it for the most part, but eventually there's just the certain hills or whatever else where you're like, ah, shit, this is too much work.
If you can't climb up a hill, I just ended up like the horse was my best friend. I think actually, Kaylan, you'd mentioned in like Rise of the Ronin, like you call your horse, it shows up, you're on it. Like it's an amazing like way to like call in the horse. This game is very much that. Like when you once you have your horse, you call it in. The thing like literally auto jumps on and you're already going in the direction you were running. I loved running, calling the horse, and it just like came and like you didn't miss a beat. You just started going faster in the direction you're already going. Plus you can turn on Pathfinder, which gives you a direct like using the roads how to get where you're going. And then you can hold X on the PlayStation controller. I'm assuming it's A on the Xbox controller, where it'll auto follow to your objective, or if you placed a marker on the map. And there was times I did do that. And I was like, you know what? I got to go refill my drink anyways. And it's going to be 40 seconds of this. I'll just run and quickly do that. It wasn't too bad, especially once you get the fast travel points. One thing I do also love in this, it's not just those eagle spots that are the fast travel. There is a way of, again, this isn't really like spoilers or anything. Kind of just starts happening where these like, I'm assuming they're like empty like buildings or something, and you can buy them cheaply and they become like an assassin's hideout or like a small like base. So you can look at a town, and as long as you've like at least run through it or sent a scout there or something, if there's one, instead of having to get to the town and then like going up and climbing to the top of the tower, you see one of those, you buy it and you can instant fast travel to that town. And you can unlock more and more and more of those as you're playing. So I found that to be a huge quality of life thing where I'd have an objective to kill somebody in a town. I'd never like unlocked the actual like tower so I could fast travel there. And I'd see one of those and it's like, oh, 600 gold. Cool. Unlock, instantly travel there. And I'm just in that town without having to traverse. So they've definitely thrown in some quality of life things to really make that traversal get a lot quicker, especially as you go into the game and it just starts throwing more of that at you. So you have even less traveling you really do need to do. Yeah.
Awesome.
But overall, fantastic game. I really did enjoy it. Not a 10 out of 10, not a 6 out of 6 by our scale, like a 4.5, somewhere in there out of 6. It's that perfect comfort food. But Assassin's Creed wise, one of the best ones that we've had in a long time. Again, I platinumed it in 53 hours, not 130. Even Origins took me, I think, 70 hours to get the platinum on and everything. So this is one of the smaller
really
ones.
Good that you can platinum it in 53 hours.
Yes. Now, again, that was with like, oh, okay, here's like these 5 guys. Just turn on guided mode and you already know where they are. That's what taking all the guesswork out. So there is that, but I mean, it's a feature right in the game. It's up to you. Like, do you want guided mode or not? So I was like,
yeah, I'm gonna play without guided mode until I get tired of it and say, all right, turn on the guided mode.
Yeah, that was literally how it went for me. That's exactly how it went.
I
right,
don't want to
Adam.
hijack.
Oh,
Before you
sorry.
switch over to Adam, I want to. We haven't checked in a while. Where are you with Dungeon Crawler Carl?
I have bought the second, third, and fourth audiobooks, but
Okay.
I have not started the second book yet. So I'm done the first one, but I haven't even started the second. I just haven't had time where if I've been doing something, it's a game that I can't have an audiobook going.
Kaylan, he's still trying to like stay lock and step with the Last of Us series. You got to give him a little bit of rope here.
Oh, I'm behind. I'm fucked. I watched the most recent episode and I'm already like 3 chapters behind in the actual freaking game. So it's like that died so quick. Stupid freaking Last of Us. Why you got to do that to me? Why you got to go so fast?
Stick with it, dude. Dungeon Crawler Carl's fantastic.
Oh, I can't wait. I was always like listening while doing housework or like playing Balatro where like I don't need the music. And that was perfect.
Yeah.
Play Balatro while listening to that. That was my happy place.
So what we're saying is Balatro needs to come out on another system so you can start playing it again.
I have it on all 4. There's no systems left unless I get it on mobile, which I don't need. I was playing it. I already unlocked 8 trophies in it on PlayStation. I was playing on my PlayStation Portable one night. I was like, I wonder how that would feel on here. It feels great. I'll throw that out there. It feels
play on the Portal.
so good on there.
Well, and like to be fair, now that you have it on the mobile, like you can play remote play on your phone, and it is one of those games that you can play with just the touchscreen on your phone. Like you don't need to, like if you're stuck at work or if you're like somewhere out, just remote play in with your phone, and it's because it's not time sensitive that you can just use the touch controllers on your phone to play it.
That's true. That is true. I don't know if I'd do that just because I have it on a Steam Deck and on my Switch, and I could just like kind of. But if I needed to hide at work, yeah, there's no way.
No, but I'm saying like if you're at the mall or something like that, and you're like you got 10 minutes to kill,
like
remote play there. Yeah, I played a lot of Balatro on my phone, remote play via my phone when I was like holding my kids and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I might try that. There you go, Adam. Kind of a 5th device.
Good for you. I'm proud of you.
Can't wait till like Balatra's on like Texas Instrument or like vape pens and stuff like that.
It's like, Chris, why'd you start vaping? I'm not.
Well, no, it's gonna be on smart TVs as well, so I have to get it there.
That would be ridiculous putting it on there for sure, unless I got it for free for some reason.
Amazon Fire TVs have games on them now, so.
They put Doom on a pregnancy test. Like they could probably put Balatro on there.
They probably could. I want to play Balatro within Doom. I hope the new Doom just has Balatro in it, just like Dave the Diver does.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. Adam, what have you been playing?
Just Clair Obscure. We're getting close. I'm now like I'm in Act 3. It's basically you unlock Fly, go to all the places in the world map you haven't been to yet. Or as I like to call it, go to all the places and see if you can kill them this time.
Yeah.
Because there's way too many goddamn spots on that map where it's like, hey, we want to have a little bit of that Soulsborne flavor to it. So here's just a random area that if you walk in, you're going to get one shot. Have fun. Yeah. And then here I am at like level almost 80 now, being like, okay, surely this time I could get there.
I'm like 41. I just hit like level 41 or 42.
Like I said, I am in the dick around and do shit portion of the game now, so I am just ramping up. I will say, and I don't know if this will be how my final review goes, I now have enough that I can pick apart that I can take a dot or a point off. I think it's a 9 at this point now. There's just so much with, like I said, the fact that there's so many things in the map that you just don't realize are going to kill you instantly, that it gets really annoying. The biggest criticism, and I don't understand why, unless they're saying, well, it's an expedition, you can't know anything. The lack of minimap is fucking atrocious. It is unacceptably bad. And I'm sure people are like, well, that's the game. You're not supposed to know where the map is. I don't care. I'm playing a video game. I'm not here to fucking play an old school like 80s game where you had to draw maps. Thank you very much. And also, I don't know which of these 4 paths leads to the end boss that may not give me a chance to go back to this dungeon anytime soon. Now, granted, I don't think that's ever a thing they have to worry about, but I don't fucking know that at the time, so I don't want to test that theory out. So I basically, anytime I see a cutscene going, I'm like, great, restart, have to boot the game back up, go back into it, and go down the other paths. It's like, guys, I've played RPGs forever. Give me a goddamn map so I know where the treasures are. Like, I want to be able to find everything. You know I want to find everything. Let me find everything. And the only other thing is honestly like
podcast where we get the real feedback on Expedition 33.
Yeah.
Not like those corporate gaming podcast shills.
Oh, I've already told Chris, if things stay the way that they are right now, when we do, it'll probably be in a side quest because I'm going to do like a full-on rant about that game at some point. I have a hot takes that's going to make some people upset. I'm not going to lie.
Love it. Love it. Welcome, raw, uncut gaming podcast content.
Yeah, I mean, and the only other thing I can say about it right now, honestly, is I don't think the story is as good currently as people are claiming it is. I am now in Act 3. It's not bad. Like, let me say this. It's not a bad story. I've just seen many, many better in several different Trails games alone. So, like, I don't know unless there's something, maybe it's just not clicking with me. Like, maybe I'm just not wanting to be depressed all the time. I don't know. But I don't see, at least at this point, now maybe the end might change that. I have no idea. But as it currently stands, like, I'm looking at this being like, this is like B level tier story. Like, this is perfectly solid. I just don't see Game of the Year story. So it is what it is there. But like, the ending could always pull something like the what Act 3 kind of turns into is a bit of a like it starts to finally connect some dots. Chris, I'm sure you're sitting there being like, I'm gonna find out what some of these things are now, right? And yeah,
well, the entire game is just a big what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, the dots are finally starting to be connected, so that helps. There's still a lot of dots left, but they're starting now. But yeah, like the gameplay, which is what I thought was going to be the most challenging for me, has now become my favorite thing about it. I still love the parrying and dodging. I'm now getting to a point where I don't really care about like a bunch of other. It's like my favorite thing now that I've gotten really deep into it is Minoko, the essentially blue mage of the party, which is just a guy who learns skills by you killing random enemies on the map. And he has a fuckload of skills. Like 60 when you only have 6 you can use at any time. And I'm sure it makes sense if there's a specific playstyle you want him to become, because I guess it's kind of meant to be like he can fit in any role. That being said, as the guy who's decided his role, I'm staring at a list of like 50 other skills being like, you're all nice. We're going to put you all right there on the fridge. You guys are so good. And like, it's just not working. And some characters, like, I have no interest into because I don't like their abilities, the way that they work. I love CL the character. I hate her fucking, her attack abilities. I've basically decided at this point, it is Mael, Loon, and Minoko, and that is who I've run with. I don't care about the leveling not being even if it ends up being something that I have to worry about later. It's just those 3 are the ones that work the best with me. I don't give a shit about any of the other ones. I do not care. None of their abilities are like remotely close. Like Minoko is S tier. No one else is S tier. He's so fucking good. Mael is a very high A. Now that's being said, if she's been nerfed recently, that A is still a pretty good A, but it's now no longer as effective. Apparently, her special attack that she gains later in the game was way more broken than the devs intended, so they had to finally patch that sucker out to the point of like, I think it's like they had to knock down the damage potentially by like 25 times. That's pretty bad. But those 2 are great. Loon is like skirting between B and A, because she's really good for magic. She's not a powerhouse though. Like, she's really there to be your set things on fire or use the elements to your advantage and heal if you need to. So she's kind of like the good support role that I found, but otherwise, like, she's there to put things on fire. That is the thing that I've decided she is for. She is there to set everything ablaze, and we just watch as the numbers keep climbing for the damage rolls. But yeah, like, I don't know how you're feeling about it right now, Chris. Like, I know you were saying it's your game of the year. I personally don't see it at this point. I think Blueprints has just been that much better. But like, this is still a phenomenally good game, despite some of the really, really, really annoying things I don't like about it.
Yeah, my take on this game is not hot. It's a 10 out of 10. It's my game of the year.
This is my concern, is not having played it and like just being late to the party is that I'm curious to see what the hype factor does, right? Like, has this game now been overhyped for me? Is it like, am I going to go in
I
with
don't know how
higher
you overhype a
expectations than I
turn-based RPG for you. You're already going in with kind of low expectations.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Like, we're at the point now that if you walk, if you play it, and like the week you come back and be like, you know what, guys, I like it. We're like, yes, we won. We finally did it.
I played turn-based RPGs. I played Pokemon. I was still dying on the hill. Pokemon is a turn-based RPG.
Which one, though, Kaylan? We got to date you a little bit here. Which one? That's what I thought.
I had blue, and I always wanted Pokemon Red.
I had blue as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Pokemon Red is like one of the exclusives was Scyther, and that was always my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was in Red. Just had to have a buddy like I did and just do trades.
I was gonna say, Chris, like with where you're at so far, like how are you feeling character-wise? Like who's the ones kind of sticking with you right now?
So Loon and what's her name again? Gosh,
Mael?
I'm drawing a blank. Mael. Gosh, I don't know why I keep forgetting that. They're my two go-tos. And then I have like the guy character with me. Minoko is like
fake Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, fake Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah.
Or sorry, Robert Pattinson.
Minoko.
I don't know why I did that. That's just such a weird.
Oh, yeah.
Those are two very different actors.
They
not
are.
even close.
Only if you look up close. But yeah, Minoko is like my comedic cutscene guy. Like I don't use him in battles at all. He's just every cutscene though. I like look forward to pretty much everything he says.
That game is
does.
low key really funny at times.
So funny. Oh my god, so funny. CL, I love her as a character in the story and the cutscenes and stuff. But yeah, I haven't used her because she's best for support, like giving AP to other characters so they can then do their super attacks and stuff. Like that's kind of her role, but I don't like having a support character. I never pretty much do that in turn-based JRPGs. So I want like the three characters that I can attack with and do my thing. Mael, I've got the one weapon on her where she's in virtuose stance, like right from the get-go. And
I'm very mad because I didn't get that in that story because it depends on the character you pick.
Yeah.
And the only way to get it afterwards is to fight Golgra, which is basically the impossible boss of this game. I still can't beat her at this point.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try for a long time. But yeah, so I have that weapon and I've kept it and I just keep upgrading it. So that, yeah, she has like her super attack, like round 1, and she can do some pretty massive damage. Loon, you are so spot on with the just like make everything be on fire, like fire
she has other elements. Possible. I don't care about the other elements, but she has them.
No,
I have an ice spell because there's a couple of enemies that will become the element that you use. So I have that just in case, but that's it. Everything else is related to her fire stuff. Like because you have the two sets. Like the main one that is your first set of 3 is set one thing on fire, set multiple things on fire, and then once you have all of the stains on her thing, when you get to 4, set everything and explode. Yeah, like those are 3 attacks. Yeah. There are other stuff that I could use. There's a heal. There's an ice spell. Do they get used often? Nope.
Nope. No.
That doesn't sound like setting things on fire.
Yeah, no. Oh, I love this game so much. I was playing right before the podcast because now I can focus on it like purely. Oh, so excited to go back in and keep going. I'm near the end of Act 2. So, Adam, you were behind me and you just fucking lapped me 100%.
I mean, eventually I had to get around to it. Was weird. For some reason, for the first like act, I was having a real trouble playing it for a long period of time. Like I'd pop it in for an hour or two and then be done and be like, yeah, I'm okay. But like as soon as I started getting to the later parts of Act 2, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I can start to power through this a little bit. Yeah, I'm okay.
Oh, I was hooked right in Act 1. I just am so easily distracted by all the other games with stories I'm really into, like Assassin's Creed, and I was playing Dragon Quest.
Act 3 will make it very easy because Act 3 is essentially now, okay, I can go everywhere. Now let's start getting revenge on things that were kicking my ass before.
The fact that you said that, by the way, I forgot to say this point. That is extremely, I feel like, on purpose. That feels very much like Disc 3 of like Final Fantasy 7.
It does, yeah.
Where all the story's done, there's the final boss, but you still have an entire world you can go and defeat super bosses like the weapons.
I'm pretty sure, like without spoiling anything, I'm pretty sure at the beginning of Act 3 you can go straight to the final boss.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would, considering how much there still is to play, but if you wanted, I mean, for speedrunners, I'm sure they'd love that, but...
True. Yeah, this feels like a Disc 3 thing. Like an old school PS1 JRPG trope. I love it.
I guess the only other thing is I'll say is the Gastro Beach challenges can go fuck themselves because some of them are way too stupidly hard.
But do you get swimsuits?
The last one that you get to when you're when you have the fly ability is quite possibly, I think, the most unfair minigame I've ever seen. It's so bad. I hate it. I finished it, but I hate it. But speaking of things we hate, game prices have gone up. And in the process of that, game time hasn't changed. And it's getting to a point that these two things are starting to intersect a bit. Now, Kaylan is the biggest example of this because obviously being a dad, your time is pretty precious. It's not a lot. Now, granted, this is the guy that also decides to play Ubisoft open world games, so he kind of does it to himself in the same way that Chris does with his backlog, but I digress.
Yeah, I do it.
But you brought it up in our Discord, Kaylan, that, you know, with Mafia the Old Country being intended to be a much more streamlined, condensed area that is just going to be a little more quicker on the uptake, quicker on getting through a lot of the core stuff. It kind of brings up the thing of like, and Bloomberg did an article that kind of, I thought, worked really well with it, in that people are becoming less and less inclined to pay full price for games, and they can wait now. And I think it doesn't help any further that so many of these games are so long that it's very easy to get lost in this, and people don't feel like they need to buy them day one anymore because A, they're getting really high on the price, but also they've got other stuff they can play at this point that they're behind on anyway, so there's no rush for them to get them. So I'll start with you, Kaylan, but I guess the core question is, like, I mean, you brought up in terms of with Mafia Old Country in terms of its map, like, is it really a case that games, quite frankly, are just too long now, and we need to, and because of the way that like pricing is getting, that we kind of have to maybe lean into not necessarily like short experiences, but not having every game becoming a mandatory 50+ hour adventure anymore?
Yeah, so we got the trailer reveal for the Mafia the Old Country, and one of the things that the developer came out and said, like, hey, this is a very focused, a very more linear game, and it's gonna be $50. And to me, I like everything he was saying was checking boxes for me. Like, I love the fact if a game's like, hey, it can be completed in 30 hours, awesome. Like, that's not a mark against it, that's a mark for it. I think we have issues when we were kids, like we didn't get a lot of games, and so we wanted games to be as long as possible, get our money's worth. I think as the medium and as the player base has expanded to include, you know, people who have kids or responsibilities or jobs and don't have as much game time, like, I'd like to be able to get through games faster. There's been very few times where I've played a game and it's gotten to the end and I said, man, I wish I had more. I find more often than not that when I'm playing games, a lot of times it comes to, by the end, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to move on to something else. And we've seen articles over and over again talking about how, you know, players don't finish games, right? And like, you know, games are too long. I think coming out and saying, hey, we're going to have two different, like, we're going to start exploring what different pricing looks like for gaming. And I think if we say, sure, we're going to start having $80 US games, like, sure, there's a conversation, like, those games can warrant being bigger, meatier things. But I think one of the areas that needs to be explored more is smaller, sizable games, right? $50 for a game that is smaller and more compact. Similar, I think we're seeing the Gears of War remaster that got announced, and that's coming out for $60. And if I recall, Gears of War, the first one, isn't a very long game either. And so I kind of want to see this pricing explored where we can get smaller games, easier to make, faster to make, and come out more frequently, and, frequently, and, allow people to get through them a lot faster, right? I think what we're seeing is that, you know, players don't finish games, right? And like, there's a conversation, like, those games can warrant being bigger, meatier things. But I think one of the areas that needs to be explored more is smaller, sizable games, right? And if I recall, Gears of War, the first one, isn't a very long game either. And so I kind of want to see this pricing explored where we can get smaller games, easier to make, faster to make, and come out more frequently, and allow people to get through them a lot faster, right? I think if people have less time to make, if you're expecting your players to spend more time with your game, you need to get more money out of them as they play, right? So if I'm spending 80 hours and I'm paying $80, the money that the company's making is a lot less than if, let's say, they released two $30-hour games for $50, right? They're going to make more money in that sequence. I understand there's an aspect that like it might cost more to make it and stuff, but I think we're seeing with things like Mafia Old Country, Expedition 33, you can make smaller games at a smaller scale. And I think there's a market and there's an appetite for that, especially as this medium gets older and the audience gets older. I think having those smaller experiences is more interesting, and I think there's more variety, and you can do more exploration and more experimentation and take more risks with a smaller, inexpensive game that costs less. So like I definitely see it. Like I think is there still appetite and time for games? Yeah, we can still play 80-hour games, but like we're gonna play fewer of them, right? And then with this, like we see games going down in price that you're incentivized to wait. And so there's only two ways of going it. Either accept that you have to get your players to buy it right away, but they might be busy with other games, or do like Nintendo does and don't lower the cost of your games. And I think that would really upset the market if they did that. I could see why. There's no reason why a game made, 3 years ago is worth any less than it is now. Or like 3 years ago is worth less than it was then, but I don't want it to go that route. So I want to see them explore scale and cost save that way.
Yeah, just to follow up Gears, it's really interesting how between all 5 of the mainline games, they all are anywhere between 9 to 12 hours.
Yeah,
right.
They're
like,
not
they're
very big.
very consistent in that. I was surprised. I thought like one of them might be longer, but no.
And that was like I was playing through the Halo games, and it was like I was getting through them relatively quickly, like a couple weeks. And now, granted, they are short games, but like I liked it. Right, I could get into a game, play it for a bit, and then get out before it overstayed its welcome. But I mean, I look at something like Dragon Age, and then that thing was just a massive slog, and it's like there's no reason for it that it needs to be that long.
Well, and I think it brings back the conversation of like, I mean, obviously when I was in high school, and I'm sure you guys were similar, like high school, college age, like you had a lot more time, but you also didn't have nearly as much disposable income, so you had to be kind of careful on what you bought. So there was always that conversation. I remember on forums all the time, people would say, oh, this game's 40 hours, this game's 30 hours, this game's 10 hours. I remember when Heavenly Sword came out, people chastised the shit out of it because it was a 4-hour game. And
yeah, I remember that was with Ready at Dawn's 1886 Order 1886. Like it's a 6-hour game. But like that game looked incredible, and it actually played really well and had an interesting story, like in every sort of way. The only drawback, there was a lot of quick time events, and there was an argument that it was like a movie. But one of the drawbacks was it's only like something like 6 hours.
Yeah, and that's where you come with the idea of the pricing structure too. Is like there's like Heavenly Sword at a full price for a AAA game is bullshit for that amount of time. Sure, absolutely agree. But I also find that a lot of people just like. One of the YouTubers that I watched a lot was Angry Joe Show, and anytime a game was really, really short, he would always do that bit where he'd say how long it is and then slow-mo him saying 4 hours, like it's a bad thing. And the only way that it's a bad thing is the pricing structure. And with obviously games like, I mean, Claire Obscure is not full price. I think, what is it, $50, Chris?
Yeah,
50 US, I think. It's like 66.
Which, given what that game is,
Canadian.
is an incredible steal of a deal. Like, that's insane.
Oh yeah.
Like if you weren't already playing that on Game Pass, like that is insanely well priced. So, there is a case to be made that like, yeah, like when everybody talks about GTA saying, "Oh, is this going to be the first $100 game?" You could probably make a good case that actually deserves that. The difference is other companies are going to use that and be like, "Oh, so my 10-hour game can also be that." No, that's not how this works. So, I think it's going to come into. We'll see how people test it. Like now that we're suddenly like I've never seen it before where games are coming out not at full price to this extent. So it's weird how it's actually starting to get played out a little bit because I've been wanting this forever. I've wanted to see, AAA games but are like 10-hour experiences for like $30, $40. Like that's and it's why Game Pass has worked so well for me in that aspect is because whether it's a shorter or a longer experience, I'm going to get something out of it for a very low cost in comparison. Like, I don't think I could play a 40-hour game today at full price for $80, but if it's on Game Pass, it's easy to stomach that. Whereas on the flip side, if a game comes out and says it's 10 hours and also it's for $30, that's an easy justify, right? So and it obviously depends on the experience too, because obviously indie has its own special pricing structure where it's all over the place and there's no real rhyme or reason for it. You just kind of
But you know what?
with it. But
That's what I like about indie. Like I'm not a big fan of indie in the sense that like I don't like that indie feeling. You know what I'm talking about when I say like an indie game, and they all kind of have that same style of feel and style. I'm not a fan of that. But one thing I like about the indie space is the flexibility they have in terms of pricing, right? Like they can scope out a project and say, hey, this one's worth 20, this one's worth 30, this one's worth 40, right? And it like they justify that cost.
And sometimes you get the diamonds in the rough where like it's developers that just maybe they think that, you know what, we don't know if this game is going to do that well, so let's put it at a low cost and, you know, just try to make like the little that we can and then see where it goes from there. And then you get the ones where it's like it's laughably overpriced. So there is kind of like that fun balance, but like it's almost like the Wild West, but it makes for some incredible deals that you can get on things. Like I want to say, was Super Meat Boy like really, really cheap for what it was back in the day? I can't remember. Like that feels like one of the ones that was like a really, really affordable game that was just a lot of.
I think it was $15, but I bought it for $2.
Mm-hmm.
Like on a Steam summer sale. Like that developer was not afraid to put it down to like, give me $2 and it's yours kind of thing.
And I mean, even in retrospect, Minecraft was super cheap in the early days. So
yeah.
So it is kind of the beauty of it where it's, you know, indie has always kind of been the trendsetter for, you know, messing around with certain things and seeing how things stick. Now that it seems like, I don't think it's going to be like that widespread. I don't think Ubisoft is suddenly going to be like, all right, so here's our $40 game, here's our $60 game, here's our $80 game. I think 99% of them are going to be full price because that's Ubisoft. But it's going to start seeing more of a flexibility in some companies. Do I think Nintendo's going to start releasing games at $40? No. But there's going to be offshoots. Again, like an Xbox potential game of the year was not a full price game. So like the fact that that's even a possibility now makes things very interesting. And to go back to the original topic at hand, I think that helps players have better agency on what they want to choose first. You know, especially if they have a backlog and the new game comes out and they know it's going to be a big slog and it's $80, they know it's going to drop. So why bother? But if something comes out like a Clear Obscure where it's getting such amazing hype and you know it's not even full price already, like it's $50, you can go, maybe I can take a crack at this one. Or if a game came out at 30, like there's so many different things to help people with a better decision making. Because it also could lead down the road of, you know, again, most companies just decide to go for the full on greed, you know, method of just charging $80, $90 for everything. And then we all just go, okay, we'll see you when you drop it 50% like we always do. Whereas it seems like some companies are taking a gamble a bit and going, well, look, instead of making a little money day one and then getting a bunch more in sale prices, why don't we lower it a little bit and see if we can get a bunch more copies sold the first time around when the hype is still going strong?
Yeah. I think there's like an argument to be made of like moving away from that, like, because we all have this idea of like video games are $60, $70, $80. And I like the idea, like you said, of like just having like, tell me what you think your game is worth, right? Like if you think your game is worth $5, $10, cool. Like I think of something like Helldivers, right? Like Helldivers was a fantastic game, but it was very much like a double A game. Like there was a lot of jank, there was a lot of problems. Like it was great, and it was $40. And like I felt like they did a good job of saying like, hey, this is what our game is worth and what we think, like what we want to charge for it. And it was fantastic. And I want to see more studios and developers and publishers kind of come out and say, look, we're going to make a $50 game. What does that look like? What do we sacrifice for that? Do we have a more stylistic look instead of hyper realistic? Do we have a smaller scope? Do we have more linear gameplay? Do we have any of those things? Like I'm okay to make sacrifices. And like, do we just have a smaller game? Like, do we have a 10-hour experience? Like I am perfectly fine paying $50, $60 for a 10-hour experience.
Yeah, like we've been talking before on the show, like, why aren't more companies? Because we always see these Concord level catastrophes where it's like, guys, in the amount of money that you've spent on these, you could have done 3 smaller projects. And even if 2 of them fail like terribly, as long as one of them hits, you make that money back. And it also gives you a chance to take a couple more chances. And I know, like, from a corporate standpoint, it's a little bit harder to sell that to people, especially to shareholders. But, like, you know, if something goes really, really wrong, at least the loss isn't going to be that significant.
I think I think this is probably like a legacy aspect. I think this length of game issue is a result of like used games. I think the idea used to be that like you fill up your game, you bloat it with the idea that people will take 80 hours. Now, some people will burn through and play that 80-hour game in a weekend or a week, but a lot of gamers I think will take several weeks to months to finish that game if they ever finish it at all. And I think what that does is having those larger games postpone the used market flooding with those games. And I think as we see more and more games move towards digital only, I think that need of like, hey, we need to combat the used market sales by making our games longer is kind of a relic of an old system that we don't have. Because like I think it's now something like what 60% of games are now bought digitally.
Yeah, I think the article that I brought up not too long ago about in the UK, I think it was like 55% or something around. Yeah, like 55-60%, I think.
So like there's becoming less and less reason you need to make a bloated game to fight off used game sales. And I think that may be something we don't need to do anymore. Chris, I know Adam and I have been like chatting, so go ahead.
Oh, no. But I actually, to kind of jump off of that point there, I think also gamers' mindsets are changing finally, because I talk to a lot of people and they would hear a game is, 10 hours long and it's like 70 or 80 or whatever dollars, and they'd freak out. Like they'd be pissed.
Bad.
Like, what? Oh, I'm not buying that. That's dumb. Like, why would I pay the same price for that as I would for Grand Theft Auto 5? And like, I understand that, like, yeah, all these things have the same
every
price.
game is like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, and what I feel happened also with this bloating is that developers also felt like, yeah, people aren't going to buy our games unless it's huge. And instead of making like Grand Theft Auto or Rockstar in general with their open world games, they're fantastic. They know how to make the games feel fun. They know how to make that open world work in their favor. CD Projekt Red, same idea, right? You take The Witcher 3, no one's like, oh, that game has too much side content. People were like, wow, look at the amazing expansion passes you can get for like $25 and adds like 200 hours. Amazing. But then you end up with like Sony and other Ubisoft and stuff like that. And they're like, all right, well, we have to make this as big as possible so that people want to buy it. And all of a sudden you end up with Horizon Forbidden West, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where they're way, way too big. And it's more like the developer is also putting out there, like, this is why it's priced this way. That's why the season's pass is 55 Canadian dollars and all that kind of stuff. Because, like, look how big it is. It's already so big. Here it is. Even though they're forgetting that when The Witcher put out its expansion, it was like $25 Canadian or something and included 2 huge expansions that were like 100 hours each. But, like, story. Not just like, oh, cool, go do more of the same crap. Like, it expanded on the world, like getting a new book in a series kind of idea. So I feel like that's my worry with these $80 games and stuff. Not that I don't think that a developer like Sandfall, who did Expedition, or whoever, I can't remember who does Mafia, but who does Mafia. South of Midnight, another example we haven't even brought up yet. Another game that I think that's only $49.99 Canadian, so probably 40 US, I think, to buy that game.
10 to 15 hour game.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be those developers.
Is also like that too.
Yes, very true. I don't think it's going to be those developers that are like, oh, we have to justify our $80 games now. For them, they're like, no, we're the AA-ish market. We know that we can make smaller games and we'll still make money because in our market, they'll be like $50. And you get, again, RoboCop, Rogue City, and like other ones that, again, same feel, great games, but definitely more those like $50 games. My worry is the Ubisofts, the EAs, the Sonys, the Nintendos that are like, all right, games are going to be $80 now. We can't let the worth of our name go down to a $50 game. So now we have to add more to our game so they're worth the $80. And is the next Assassin's Creed still going to be that 80 US? but now it's going to be Assassin's Creed Valhalla 2.0, and it's just going to be huge and massive. Is Horizon Forbidden East or whatever the heck the new one's going to be called, like going to be also just even bigger? Like Zero Dawn was great. It didn't feel overwhelming at least to me.
Because it was
Forbidden
a new concept too.
It was new concept, but also like the map was more contained. And then all of a sudden Forbidden West came out and it opened and I was like, fuck me, what the hell is all this? Like it just went forever and you didn't even need it. Even to get the platinum in the game, you didn't even need it. So it's like, what is it there for? I don't want to go and get 54 different bandit camps. Excuse me. Or freaking Hogwarts Legacy where there's 100 Merlin trials or something on the map. Like it's just this stuff they're throwing out there because it's like, this will take 10 hours. There we go. That's easy. Now our game's worth that 80 US price. It's going to be them, the Warner Brothers with Hogwarts. Like it's going to be all those developers that I actually worry about with this $80. But since I think that, obviously the three of us are all aligned, I've now been seeing that a lot more gamers are also aligned with the like, you know what? I don't have time for this. And these aren't fun. I don't need this size of a map. I don't need Far Cry 7 to have 3,000 icons on the map. I don't need this. I actually really liked RoboCop Rogue City, or I really liked Expedition 33, South of Midnight, Mafia Old Country, like these AA-ish games that are smaller. I think that people are actually going to start to enjoy them more, and people are going to inadvertently speak with their wallet. And I think that hopefully a lot more of these other developers are going to kind of step in the same way that the indie developers came in and kind of took that $10 to $30 market that used to kind of exist back on, other consoles. Like they were those games you'd see in a bin and you're like, what is this? Like, what is this 1999 game that I've never heard of on GameCube or something? But now the indie market's like, no, we're going to be those games. We're for the people looking to spend $15 and just play this simple game. I think AA is really going to start to take off. I think that's what's actually going to happen.
I'm super stoked to see we start getting a string of like $40, $50 games now.
Oh yeah.
So I want to jump on because like Chris was saying, like I don't see Sony or I don't see Xbox. I don't see like the big companies doing it. I disagree. I think they are taking that lesson because like if I think of like all the big publishers within the last couple years, they've all released smaller bite-sized games. Like Ubisoft released Mirage, which I believe was $50.
Yeah.
Sony released Helldivers at $40.
How much was Astrobot full price when it came out?
Yeah, Astrobot
Yes.
I think was like $79.99.
But once again, that was a game that deserved that price range, right?
Yeah, I would say it does, and I love that it was shorter.
Microsoft South of Midnight, that's a shorter game that's been released. Like, you look at I think it's Electronic Arts that does like Split Fiction, right? Like another smaller game. Like,
well, and
like
even all, Split Fiction, like you don't even need to buy 2 copies, so like it already kind of pays for itself.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly. But I guess what I'm saying is I'm seeing a lot of publishers. There's at least an example for each one of them releasing a smaller scale, cheaper game.
That
and
is
so
true.
I think this is I think this is a trend that we're going to see.
Yeah, I think we're finally at the point of like the scale is finally starting to come down the other way. Like the pendulum's starting to swing finally.
Because like you made the argument of like PlayStation won't release a cheap game because they don't want to like diminish their pedigree. I don't think that's the case. I think what it could be is it could be like, hey, this is a great Sony game that's $40. Hey, this is a great Sony game that's $80. And each one of those can command respect for what it's doing in that field, right? In the same way that like if you're going to see, if you're going to see a like, I'm not a sports guy once again, I talk about it, but like you've got your professional leagues and then you've got like your like up and coming leagues, right? Both are good, but they are differently priced to reflect that, and they both have their own space and their own value, but they are different prices, right? And each one justifies their cost.
Oh, 100%. I think my worry is more that the established franchises that Sony, EA, Nintendo, all of them kind of already have, like their Horizons, like their Assassin's Creeds, like Madden's not going to all of a sudden go down in price, and it's never been worth what it's worth. But EA is going to put Madden up to 80 US. They're going to join in. because they know everybody will jump on it. FIFA or whatever, or FC or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
now,
like
same
I think the core is going to always be the same because that's where the greed is going to come in. They're going to look at their big sellers and go, "We can't possibly underprice this. There's no way." But
but hopefully,
I think we have turned a corner, and I think the gamers are largely the reason for it because we finally started to shift, which is something I've been clamoring for like 10 years. And I think there's three reasons for it. One, games, as we said, like your Assassin's Creed, and I know I'm taking shots at stuff that you guys like, but you know what I mean. Assassin's Creed or your Far Cries or, obviously Horizon Forbidden West. A lot of these games have gotten so overly bloated, and it's been consistently overbloated for about 10 to 15 years now that people have finally caught on to it. It was obviously overbloated in Black Flag, but we were still new to it. It was still fresh. In the same reason that I say Horizon Zero Dawn worked, because not only, like, it was still a bloated map, but at least the entire concept of what that world was fresh, so everything looked new to you. Forbidden West was not. It was the same thing, but bigger. And the problem with bigger does not mean good, because bigger generally means less to do in terms of, or less time, doing something crazy. So that already killed a bunch of it. The second one is the biggest offender, which is live service games, because people really realize at that point that all companies are trying to do is to get you to play one game and nothing else. And people went, no, I have other things I like. So now people were starting to get really, really, really more conscious of how much time they were putting into games. And the final nail in the coffin to me was last year at the Game Awards. What were the two biggest winners of that show? Astrobot, which granted was full price, but it was a shorter, very fun experience that didn't demand too much of your time, and Balatro, which in Chris's case demands all of his time, but generally speaking is a come whenever you can and play our game. Instead of like, obviously the winners before that are all big games, like your Elden Rings, your Baldur's Gates, like they're all massive time sinks. But it got to a point that with the scales already starting to tip, with games getting so bloated and live service games really getting under people's skin, the two biggest games of the Game Awards being not any of those things, being the polar opposite, basically told people, yeah, you know what? Those games are really good and they don't have to be 40 hours to do it. Yeah. And I think that's starting to shift. Will it be a long-term shift? Like, will this be in the next 5 years, we're going to be talking about, most of the best games being like, these $40, $50 games that are bang for your buck, and like the odd games that are $80 are like just epic, like massive games. I don't know, and I'm actually kind of pessimistic to think that will be the case. But if you asked me 5 years ago that we were going to be in a place like this, I would have told you, God, no, not a chance in hell. We're going to be stuck in this. I buy based on how many hours this game is for another like 20 years. And here we are actually having this conversation well sooner than I ever could have imagined.
I think there's another aspect that you're missing here. Like you're talking about, why we don't like big games or why we don't have time for big games anymore. And like, it's also just games aren't just competing with themselves anymore in the sense of like how much we're consuming, right? We now have a dozen different streaming apps, each one of them bringing out new content all the time. And it's not something where it's released in a manageable bite, right? Like we're dropping entire seasons at a time that we are like rushed to consume, right? So we've got Netflix, you've got, Disney Plus, all that stuff. But then you also have YouTube. Like you've got YouTube content coming out. You've got Twitch content, right? Podcasts. Like and subscribe, PixelPlay Podcast. Don't stop listening to us, please. But like you've got a whole bunch of things that are now also commanding more time. Like I don't know about you guys, and like I might just sound like an old man yelling at clouds, but like I am finding it even hard to keep up with shows that I want to watch, right? There's so many that are coming out. And like
I don't have an anime library of like 80 shows I have to keep up with.
Right? Like that's the thing. Like there's so much content that is constantly being bombarded at us that we don't have as much free time as we used to oh yeah, I'm gonna play this 80-hour game. I got the time for it. Like I got Survivor on Thursday and I watch, I don't know, like Frasier on Tuesdays. And other than that, like I got time. Like it's now more constant of like, hey, there's a bunch of backlog shows to watch, a bunch of backlog podcasts, audiobooks, whatever. Like there's just so much media to consume that games aren't just competing with themselves in their space, but also with other media. So,
Yeah, I think that's true as well. I was more trying to keep the scope within gaming because I mean, there's so many other factors. Like I think going back to even to the pricing nature, like people are so strapped for cash right now that they can't just go out and get everything willy nilly anymore. So there's so many other factors to it. I don't know about you, Chris, but like it feels like it's getting to a point now that like because obviously Kaylan, his amount of time is just so much more different compared to the rest of us. But I think it's just like it's not even an overload of content. I think it's just an overload of general just noise because of there being now that the indie sphere is not just a very small side thing. There's so much noise from so many different corners. Not to mention like like you said, Kaylan, with shows. And I mean, obviously right now it's the NHL playoffs. So as a Canadian, we're kind of like having to pay attention a little bit to that too. And like, depending on how many things you have involved, and not to mention like, I don't know how this is for anybody listening to this, but like in the last year or so, like I've noticed that like a lot of my friends, like we're suddenly becoming way more outgoing again because I think COVID really made us realize, holy shit, we don't spend a lot of time with people as much as we should be. So like, I'm finding that weekends used to be I will be playing all the weekend and I'm going to get so much done. I rarely play games on the weekend anymore. Like whether it's, well, you don't count. Whether it's like
I made my own people that I hang out with.
Like I play baseball. I play baseball on the weekends. I usually hang out with friends or, anytime that I have with my girlfriend because she works a job where we don't see each other every day. Like so much of that time is already allocated elsewhere. So like maybe on a weekend where I used to be able to go like all day on a Saturday and maybe like half of a Sunday, it's now like I've got like 4 hours to work with. So like it's now becoming a case of I'm so much more picky with the time that I use that I don't need to go out of my way to buy a game day one anymore when I know that I have 7 things on the back shelf. Chris, I know 7 is a very small number. You just work with me on this. Of games that I want to get to at some point, and I don't need to put my money anywhere else right now because, dude, like I know this is going to get dropped by half within 6 months anyway, depending on how good the game is. And like 2, even if it doesn't, like, okay, but I can still wait. Because you know what that also means? I save a little more money, which means I can use it for other things. Like now, oh my God, I don't have to worry about going to the grocery store and be like, all right, so we're eating ramen this week. Now I can be like, we're eating ramen with chicken this week.
I think it's also that you're both correct in everything because I personally feel for both of everything that you're describing in my own personal life. And I think it's also that not even is there just not so many choice with media. Gaming is at the highest it's ever been for just amount of stuff coming out. Like we didn't have indie games back on the Super Nintendo or even GameCube and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't until like the PS3 360 era that it started coming in. Through Xbox, I think kind of was the one that kind of started that. But even then, like the indie scene was small. It was like, oh, Braid is a game. That's cool. Fez is a game. These are 2 really great games. And then obviously in the 2010s, indie just took off, especially on PC. But now it's like there's an Xbox, there's a Nintendo, there's a PlayStation. There's always those 3. PC always existed, but everything is starting to blend together where it's like now it's like, oh, it's cool that you really like your Nintendo Switch, but also don't forget that this ROG Ally and this Steam Deck and all of this exists. Also, here's these retro handhelds that can play all these emulated old school games that you miss the simplicity of older games. Please play that. And like it's just a constant flow of tons of content coming out on tons of different devices, and the FOMO is real with certain things because it's not like where you just read a gaming magazine or whatever back in the day. A game is dropping like Expedition 33, the hype is real, and it's like it's on PlayStation, it's on a Game Pass. Oh yeah, there's also that now. Let's also admit that streaming subscription services for games is making it where there's just like a constant flow of like, hey, did you know that there's like 6 games that you can play on Xbox right now? I know you already have 5 games on your PlayStation and you have a Steam Deck and a Switch, but look at these 5. You don't want to not play Doom and Expedition and Avowed and Oblivion, right? Like those are some really great games. Play them right now. So I think it's just there's so much stuff and there's not enough time, whether it's gaming, it's real life, going outside. whether it is movies, TV shows, streaming services, there's just not enough time to actually sit, enjoy something where it's the only thing you're focusing on, and then you move on to something else, and you actually don't have to disrupt the rest of all of your other stuff to do that.
It's kind of like a matter of waves for me too. Like I have months where it's like, okay, I can't find anything to do, and then there are months where I'm like, oh my god, I need to finish this. I got so much I need to catch up on again.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just the way content's delivered, like YouTube, cell phones, things just hit you all the time. And, you know, it's like ads and all this other stuff for games. And like, oh, did you know your PlayStation wish list? This is on. And then your Xbox Game Pass app. Oh, there's also this. And it's just constant, right? So, yeah, there's just not enough time. And I think finally, I know for me, it's like all of my favorite games in the last bit have been like 10, 15-hour games. They'll be like RoboCop or Hellblade or Avowed and all this stuff, and like they're really not
because they're so short. They have the chance to leave impressions on you that you don't forget after 20 hours of nonsense.
Yeah, and you feel like you accomplished something. You actually played and beat a game, and you know you finished a story and get to move on. It's kind of like seeing a movie in a theater. You sat, you watched it, it happened. Nothing else happened. You actually accomplished that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most ridiculous. Old Manzy podcast episode we've ever done.
That's not true. We did a whole episode on cereals we ate as a kid.
No,
we should just all go back to 1995.
And Yells at Clouds episode right here. We've done it.
Chrono Trigger was $90 and it was worth every penny.
Back in my day, you only had 3 games and you had to make it work. God damn it! I made Wario's Woods and the Magic School Bus game work, damn it!
I mean, I had Where's Waldo on Sega Genesis, and I put probably 100 hours into that stupid thing, so yeah, you might be right, Adam.
You kids and getting your Oblivion for like $14, I had to play Sonic the Hedgehog 3 70 times a week!
I also did that.
Old man, the episode we've ever done. I can feel my with this conversation.
Well, you know what? Honestly, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I went to the eye doctor today to sound even older, and this does connect. The doctor said my eyes are getting worse, and I need to go outside and stop looking at screens. I literally got told that today. I'm like, but I really like video games. And she was like, yeah, the sun is good for you.
Joke's on her. You can play the Portal outside.
Yeah, like, yeah, Steam Deck, take with me.
Just occasionally look up. It's fine. There's your sunlight. Well, if we're calling this an old man podcast, well, I guess these old men need to go to bed soon. So why don't we cap it off here? So you guys know the drill. Obviously, here on YouTube, like and subscribe if you're listening on any audio platform: Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You know all of those fancy audio places where you all listen to, and probably a couple of them that I've never heard of before, but they're probably there. Obviously, if you can give us a rating, please do so. Otherwise, share with all your friends. Friday, we are doing, Chris and I are doing GameCube remakes that we want to see coming back. And yeah, somehow Sunshine didn't make the list. So you'll have to see what actually took its place. So enjoy with that. But yeah, that's going to do for this. So you guys know the drill. Wednesdays at noon for the main show. Fridays at noon for the side quest. So wherever you may be, enjoy what you are playing and take care. Bye-bye for now.